Well, hello, friends. Welcome to LinkedIn Live. I'm your host, Nicole Bergen. This is my producer, Erica. She's usually behind the screens, but today I convinced her to come on screen so you guys could all meet her. Erica is an amazing data visualist, producer, video editor, jack of all trades. Erica, say hello to all of LinkedIn. Am I making you nervous?
Just a little bit. Hey, LinkedIn, what's up? It's kind of different being on this side of the production, so super excited. Thanks for
Yeah, I
having
know what it
me.
feels like to be me.
Yeah, all the pressure.
So I'm
Um,
really Eric and you and I have been talking for a couple days about this upcoming session. We want to mix up the content. Obviously, in my role as fractional CMO, I like to provide value about what I'm seeing, how I'm buying things for the different clients I work with, what research am I using to inform decision and strategy and improve ROAS and all those important KPIs. But today we thought, let's take a step back and let's talk about something a little more personable, a little bit more raw, and it's my recent rebrand. So some of you might notice I have shorter hair. How did that come to be? There's always a strategy, right, Erica?
Nothing's by accident.
Nothing's by accident.
Yeah.
So if you're joining us with your cold brew in the afternoon on the East Coast, or you're over here on the West Coast and it's only 10 a.m., please hit us up in the chat with your questions. We'd love to answer them in our, 25 minutes that we have together today about standing out in male dominated industries, especially if you're a woman. If you're a younger woman, that's something I struggled with in the beginning because I have a very young looking face, Erica. And that benefits me now in my
Yes.
later years. But in the beginning, it actually was something that I really struggled with confidence, because
Yeah,
people, are they going to take me seriously? And because I look so youthful. So where is
absolutely.
that balance of being
Yeah.
youthful and being professional? And so today we're talking about personal branding. So I'm not talking about in your role in your specific job, which, has you brand for your company, but you as a person, if you're a female, if you're tuning in right now, how do you stand out? How do you make a name for yourself in the industries that you serve, especially in male dominated ones? That's what we're talking about today. Where should we
Yeah.
begin, Erica?
Well, first, I just want to say I'm excited because just being behind the scenes and see your rebrand glow up has been really cool. Um, and it's been very educational to see like how you would approach it. But yeah, as a younger woman in a male dominated industry, this is like so relatable to me. So just excited to be part of the discussion. Um, but yeah, the first question that I have for you, I think people who might be watching might wonder, you have it put together. You're a CMO, you're an entrepreneur, but how did you come to the point where you're like, I need to reevaluate my brand and tweak a few things? What was that like aha moment for you?
It's a great question. So, I am very fortunate to have an executive coach. And I will say that if you don't have one, it's something I would highly recommend looking into. So, really quickly, what is an executive coach? It can be just a mentor, someone that you really trust that maybe is a few years ahead of you in the industry, that can provide counsel. Ideally, it's not somebody that you like directly work with, um, because they might have a bias about what's in your best interest. So you want to look for coaches or mentors that maybe are adjacent to you. So I've been very fortunate to seek some of those individuals out, and I have an executive coach that I come back to every few weeks or so. As you know, Eric, I'm in front of the camera a lot, both in the virtual walls and in real life speaking engagements, and I review those tapes with my coach. Okay. And so in the beginning stages, I was looking at it more for performance, getting support, and it's hard to watch yourself in critique, like what could I be doing better. So in the beginning, it was like tonality, you know, uh the ums and ins, and
Filler
the
words.
the
Yeah,
filler words, and it was more the Toastmaster stuff, right? Like kind of
totally.
getting my speaking skills down. And so, but after a while, when I started getting better at that, and my coach kind of had a side conversation with me and said, let's talk about your look. I'm 45 years old now. I just turned 45.
Congrats.
Thanks. And I had longer hair, right? And in the tapes, as we would review them together, what we noticed is that the hair was a lot of times in my eyes, in my face. It's thinner because I'm older. For other women watching, that you might relate to that. It's distracting. There's a lot of this going on, and you know, and so it was not helping my performance, let's just put it that way. So, to answer your question in a roundabout way, what triggered the rebrand, it was watching those tapes with my
Hmm.
coach and kind of recognizing that times had changed, starting to get some grays, I'm starting to get some, wrinkles and things like that. And how do I keep my youthful edge, but evolve with who I am authentically? And so it was recommended to me to consider a styling change. Which, when someone says that to you, you're like, oh, what does that mean? Am I ugly?
Yeah.
No, that's not what it means. And remember, I picked this mentor, so I respect their opinions. That's why I think it's important you pick someone that you think has your
Yes.
best interests at heart, and be willing to listen to that feedback. And so I had two options. I was told, listen, you can either cut your hair and make it more of an edgy, kind of shorter cut, still be playful, youthful, which is your vibe, or you could add extensions and make it a little bit fuller so it lays nicer on your shoulders. I am a mom. I have two kids, as you know, Erica. So I carry two jobs, being a mom full time and then also running this business. And so I'm not going to sit in a chair and do extensions for hours and hours every few weeks.
Totally.
And I said, not going to happen. Let's go with the shorter cut. So I sought out a stylist to help me come up with some cut ideas. I used AI which I highly recommend. There's some cool tools out there, and just kind of take some snaps of your face and upload them into some AI tools and try on different haircuts before you do it. And for me, it's a time thing too, because I'm a mom, right? So I don't have time to sit in the chair and have my hair dyed every 4 weeks for 4 hours. So I added the purple, and some of you can see it to distract you from the gray. And I went for the shorter cut. So that was step one, was the haircut. And
Yeah.
but I was scared. I think other people that might be listening in might think, "Oh, well, I don't want to give up the long hair because it's youthful and that means I'm now just a soccer mom." I had that same fear, like, am I just going to look like a soccer mom? I don't want to do that. I pride myself in my youthful edge. How do I keep that alive?
Totally. And I feel like as women too, as we get older, we're told that our styles have to change to be more traditional. And it's like, you don't have to do that. And I don't think your haircut was about that either. It was more so your eyes, being able to see your eyes and your face better.
Yeah, and that's what, the coach has always reminded me in the tapes, and I teach this when I teach video sessions, or, I'm coaching a spokesperson. Trust is built through the eyes. Fact, right? So if I can't see your eyes, I don't trust you. I mean, it's just look at the data, right? And so for those of you that are looking to evolve your personal brand, one of the first tips I would get is just make sure you have a look where you can see the eyes. It's not a distraction. Number one, please update your LinkedIn profile pictures. Okay. This is a business platform. So it's not the place to be artsy. This isn't a Upwork page where we're trying to sell our creative services, right? This is a business profile. So I would say, get some quality headshots done. You're like, oh, I'll just take a picture. What? Go ahead.
So you're saying I can't have my college headshot still as my
No,
LinkedIn profile? Oh, come on.
no, not the wedding photo where you looked really good
Mm,
because you were a bridesmaid and
snatched.
you had your
Yeah.
hair. Yeah, no, no. Get some good quality headshots. And I want to see those eyes. So, all the artsy, like this to the side, or looking up and thinking of all the millions of dollars I'm going to help brands make, that stuff needs to go. When you're trying to build a personal brand, keep it simple, right? Have a good look, have a good cut, have a profile picture where I can see your eyes, and invest in some quality headshots. And you can look, people are like, can I do AI? I don't know. You
Mm,
and I have played with those AI tools.
yeah.
They're pretty obvious they're AI. If
Yeah.
if, if like you're bootstrap, you're 22 years old, you're watching this right now and you're like, I don't have funds to do professional headshots. Okay, maybe you start with AI. It's better than nothing, right? It's better than that cropped wedding photo. But you can get headshots done for 400 or 500 bucks. Everyone on our team, when they come on, we require it. They get their headshots done. I recently just went through it. I spent a little bit more. Transparently, I spent $1,000 on my new headshots, but there are multiple use cases for these. And let me show you what some of them look like. We can talk about it. So I don't know if you can see this right now. Um, Erica, I'm going to put it up on screen for a second. These are some of the shots.
Perfect. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
when we did it, I worked with the stylist. I will say, I always thought stylists are for rich people. Turns out not that's true actually. There are people that style people daily, but you can just get a styling session for 200 bucks and have someone come in and put your outfits together for you. So that was the things, if I'm going to spend $1,000 on headshots, right? And I want to have like this to last a good 18 months in this rebrand. I want to make sure there's enough shots of up close and tight for those profile pics, for those speaker engagement photos, but also to give you, my producer, some options for marketing collateral and things like that.
I just wanted to transition. You were talking about your haircut, which is a slay, looks great on you. Um, but the next piece that we're inching towards is your style. And I feel like that there's a lot to unpack there. So just, I know to preface, you got a stylist to prepare for the headshots, but what were some of the other reasons why you wanted to look into getting a stylist?
So going back to the executive coach, right? Let's talk about your look. One of the pieces of feedback that I received was that, and I'm just going to say it, I looked more like a grad student and not a C-suite. And that could be a dart to the heart, right? Like, oh, what? What do you mean? I get what they were saying, right? My vibe, you've seen me, Erica, in speaking engagements the last few years. I'm definitely the hoodie girl with the tennis shoes. I gave up high heels pre-pandemic and hosiery and dresses when I just stopped feeling like it wasn't me. It just
Mhm.
wasn't me. And I was, in my early 20s and 30s, I work in very male dominated industries where in the boardroom, I might only be the only female, right? So to fit in, to be respected, I felt like I had to wear the dress and the high heels. But after some time went on, why am I doing this for these men in this room? My voice is valid and I bring perspective to this room, I think is an advantage to this company, right? And so
Absolutely.
why am I hiding that? Because it's
Yes.
intimidating, right? It's intimidating and you want to fit in. We all want to fit in. We want to be liked. We want to be respected. So I think part of that is just like the age and the experience gave me the confidence to say, I'm not doing high heels anymore. But I will tell you, Erica, I have had some really interesting conversations of people that have rejected that.
I'd
Yeah,
love to
I
hear
was,
more. Yeah.
so I was in an elevator with someone. Obviously, I'm not going to call them out on this meeting or this stream that I work with in a male dominated industry. And they were like, really, Bergen, tennis shoes? And they were wearing a full suit and a tie.
Mm,
And, there's a couple ways I could have handled that situation. And over the years, I think the thing that I've gone back to is just to A, kill them with kindness, number one,
mhm.
whenever possible. Number two is just shoot it right back to them in a playful way so that
Totally.
it's not attacking, right? And so
Yeah.
what ended up coming out of my mouth was, my tennis shoes are more expensive than your suit. And I just laughed. Because, like, what is he gonna say?
Is it?
Like,
Yeah.
really? You're not gonna give me, you're gonna attack me because I am not wearing high heels right now and a dress, or what does that mean? That
Yeah.
says more
Yeah.
about you than it does about me. But
Yeah.
my earlier self in my 20s, right, I would have been in tears about that, right? I would have
Hmm.
really struggled. So I will say, transparently and fairly, the more experience you get, the more comfortable you get in the value that you offer. So know your value, know your worth,
Hmm.
and own it, right? put the tennis shoes on if that's you. And so I did. And some people, listen, rejected me because of it. Don't they just, it's not going to happen. And you know what? I don't want to do business with those people then.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah. They
okay.
weeded themselves out. And
Right.
yeah, I think as a like younger in my career, I think that's something that I fixate a lot on is how people perceive you, the first impressions you make. And so I totally understand and it's hard to figure out like what's in this day and age, like how do you dress as a woman to have good presence or in your case executive presence. And I think what you said that's so true is be authentic, be like find your style and just find ways to polish it up.
That
Don't try
being
and be something
said,
you aren't.
yes. That being said, though, a lot of young women have come to me like, how do I, get there? And I will
Hmm.
say, my dad said something to me when I was younger that has always resonated with me. Dress the part you want to be, not the part you are. And so if you want to be at the executive table, then you
Hmm.
show up on time, dress appropriately. Like you can wear a fitted blazer with tennis shoes and nice cut jeans, right? That's not the same as showing up disheveled with a pair of Vans that are dirty, right? And
Yeah.
and
Wrinkled shirt,
yeah.
toothpaste on your shirt. Yeah.
So tastefully.
I was going to say being authentic doesn't mean not putting thought into your
Yes.
style.
Yes. So, and just what do the people like if I was in banking, right? I might go a little more formal because that's what the industry is, right? Whereas in marketing, I'm allowed to play with pops of color a little bit more. It's expected to be a little bit edgier in marketing. If I was a CFO, a finance person trying to be at the table in that role, I might have a more refined look. Maybe I would have a more fitted blazer and maybe I wear a loafer instead of a tennis shoe, right? A designer loafer, or, whatever my budget allows and slacks or pencil pants or whatever it might be. But I will say that hiring a stylist for this recent rebrand, Erica, was really helpful to me because I was very critical, as us
Hmm.
women often are, about, how do I look legitimate, professional, but also be authentically me? And I wasn't, I don't know. You think just like put clothes on and it's easy, but
And you look good. Yeah.
I lost a little bit of weight in this past year, a size or 2, and so I was still wearing kind of like the frumpier tops that were hiding my midsection, and the stylist is
Hmm.
like, "Listen, I need you to raise your tops to be more cropped level so I can see the waist more higher waisted," and I'm thinking, "I've never worn anything like that before." But she putting those clothes on me and seeing how the pieces came together, I was like, "I feel good. Like this feels it looks good. I see the vision here and I still feel like with the pops of color that my personality is still being interjected into this look and it's not like I'm trying to be a banker. Nothing that there's nothing wrong with bankers, but that's just not my vibe, right?"
I could imagine if you're spending like for myself, I spend a lot of time thinking about like how to style myself and what changed in your life when you had somebody step in and help you with that, like in your personal time, in your mental energy that you spent before thinking about your style.
Think I think the hardest part is checking your ego and like your criticisms of yourself and just being
Mm,
open to like this person is a professional. They dress people professionally, have an open mind. When she first came in with the rack and was like, "Here's some stuff." I'm like, "There's no way in hell I'm wearing that. Like there's just no chance." And you know, like the high-waisted pants. I was like, "I'm not wearing high-waisted pants. I love my skinny jeans, but they work really well
and
with my high tops, and these wide leg stuff doesn't really work with high tops." And my coach had said, "Maybe can we mix in some other shoes, like especially for the speaking engagements, the
mhm.
sneakers are okay for like more workshopy type stuff, but let's elevate your look to be, CMO at that C-suite. Let's put on a Kate Spade loafer or let's put on a Stuart Weitzman, this red patent you see in some of these images. I'll share my screen again for those people that are joining maybe late to the session. You'll see I've got this, red patent um, loafer, Erica. I was like, "I love those. They go with my red leather
Mhm.
blazer and I still get to be fun," you know? So, I think checking my ego and being willing to just hear the feedback and, listen to it and experiment, and then these people are professionals. If you get a good stylist, they'll know how to bring your personality out. Like this pink outfit you see here in the middle on the yellow background, the shirt that I was wearing, I've had that in my closet for 2 years. I've never worn it. I was like, "I don't know how to wear this shirt." And she's like, "Oh my god, you have this pink really cute suit and it's a pop of color and let's throw some yellow loafers on with it. And how does that feel? Does that feel on brand for you?" I'm like, "It totally does. It's just elevated."
Mhm.
Right? Even
Yeah.
this, Veronica Beard blazer with the gray cashmere hoodie, you know, throwing on some better fit jeans, and look at that stance, the second from the top to the right, like, that's a
Mhm.
power seat right there. I was like, "I don't know, this feels weird, my legs are apart," you know, and she's like, "No, no, 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 it's, like, confidence," and so working with the photographer, working with the stylist, getting some variety in these headshots, you can see, you know, the more conservative approach in the white outfit. The ivory blazer and the pencil pants with the red top is a little more conservative. We've got that middle picture there with the hoodie, and the loafers instead of sneakers. So they're little refinements in the look, but
Mhm.
still on brand for me. And I can wear these outfits across different speaking engagements virtually or in front of the room and still feel like I look youthful, but I'm also like appropriate for my age and my position, you know, as a
Yeah.
CMO.
And just looking at these headshots, like, to be transparent, Nicole and I looked at headshots, styles to send to her photographer and just kind of did a little bit of research and just seeing these after photos, it's so uniquely you. Like this is your like brand thumbprint. Like instead of just a stuffy headshot with a black blazer and a white background, like you have your style and just having professionals be able to help you guide you to that look, I'm sure has been super helpful.
Yeah,
Um,
and then just being open to the feedback, right?
mhm,
And kind of taking a minute to think about who are you? One things that was helpful with the photography session is I filled out a questionnaire and they were asking very specific questions like how will these photos be used? You know, what are some of your favorite brands? What is your favorite color? What's part of your body do you not love seeing? I'm like, who does I do not
question.
like seeing my muffin top. You know, that is not my favorite. So
Same.
let's distract from that. I think
Yeah.
one of these photos had to be Photoshopped because there was a little bit of a roll showing, and I was like, "Amanda, I need you to fix that muffin top roll in that one photo." But, lots of variety in these photos. But I wanna, Erica, just to summarize, I wanna share with everyone who's watching, and feel free to hit us up in the chat if you have questions, is, get a mentor or a coach. If you're really looking to get the next step in your career, find someone that really has your best interest at heart and seek their counsel frequently so that you can have like a third party view of, you know, you're so in it. Like how are other people receiving you? And a mentor, for example, and let them help counsel you. Number 2, invest in good headshots. Get a good cut, get a good, you know, seek that counsel. These people are professionals. Show it to a couple friends and family members as well as work colleagues because your friends and family look at it differently than your work colleagues might. So when I was thinking about cutting the hair, you know, I showed it to my dad, I showed it to my bestie, I showed it to some school friends, I showed it to work people. What do you think would work best? So seeking counsel from your close, you know, community of people that you know have your best interest at heart. Invest in in headshots as you build your personal brand. I think it's really important no matter what level you're at. You want to have a good photo that you can use for your profile picture on LinkedIn or other channels. And then if you're at the C-suite or trying to get there, like myself, the stylist is a key point. Bringing in a stylist to help look at what you already have and how can I elevate this to make you look more have more executive finesse in your imagery.
Mhm.
I think those are things I would point to. I know we've got a couple minutes left, Erica. I want to make sure we hit on the male dominated industry thing.
Yes. Yes, let's focus on that. So, I'd love to hear your thoughts
Well, you
on.
know, I think I mentioned earlier the comment about my sneakers and that hurt a little bit, right? And I kind of fought back. Not everybody feels comfortable in that moment saying that, my sneakers are more expensive than your suit. I'm not sure in retrospect, that was the best thing to say, but it's what I was feeling at the time.
Honestly, love it.
But I will say that being as I've gotten older in my career and being comfortable sharing a little bit of who I am helps people connect with me.
Mm.
Like I'm a hot yogi. I've been doing hot yoga for 10 years. I share that. Or I have learned to acquire a taste for IPAs. That has really helped me in male dominated industries.
I was gonna say.
Because I can go to a hockey game or a basketball game, and while I might not be as versed in the game, I can share an IPA with the guys.
Mhm.
Find something that you can relate with them, and connect with. I will say something more recently that I've been exploring is learning how to play golf. Golf
Ooh.
is a very, typically more male oriented sport, but a lot of business conversations happen on the golf course. So if you're a woman and you're looking to build your brand and infiltrate male dominated industries, consider learning how to play golf because there's a lot of opportunities there, I would say, in learning how to drink beer. Those
Or
2
pretend
have
drink
been
beer.
or pretend drink beer. Yeah. So Modelo's always a good backup.
Oh,
You can
love
always go the
Modelo.
Mexican beer if you
Yeah.
can't go the straight up West Coast IPAs. But I would say those
And
2 things, honestly, they're simple, but it's helped me connect with people and, males that I work with in those industries.
do you find yourself, speaking differently and carrying yourself differently to show your credibility when you're the only woman in a room?
Hmm. No.
Oh,
But
okay.
that's taken some time to perfect that.
Yeah.
I think in the beginning, that feeling of wanting to fit in or you take a more passive role as a woman. It's just natural to be more of an observer, kind of see what they're all
Mhm.
going to say. And it took some time, Erica, to build the confidence, when I've had enough brands that I've gotten to work with through the years and home services and furniture and retail, in the personal injury category. I work with a lot of lawyers
Yeah.
and helping them be their best self and their personal brands across the screens can be in the beginning intimidating, but because I have had so many experiences with it over time, I just have to rip off the band-aid and have the confidence like I know what I'm talking about. Either this person is going to value it or they're not. But if I take a wimpy approach to just like, "Oh, what do you think?" And then,
This
"I
is how
don't
I think. This is how I
know."
feel.
No, like, "Listen, this is what I did with this other guy, and you either are gonna get on the train or not."
Yeah.
Right? Like, "You hired
Yeah.
me to do this job, like, do you wanna win or not? Let's go." And just, like, just sell it with confidence. And over time, I stopped leaning back in my chair and I started leaning more forward at the table. And I wish I had a better way of saying it or advice to young women. Just keep leaning forward. And I know that's so cliche, the lean in book and all that.
Yeah.
I have feelings about that. I don't want to get into it because, of course, she's easy
Another
for her
subject.
with 3 nannies and cooks and
Yeah.
everything. But for the rest of us that actually have to go home and get kids to water polo and sewing and whatever else my kids do. It's not that easy, but she did have a point to lean forward that your voice does matter. You have something to bring to the table. If you're the only female in the room, own that. Hey, I have a different
Yes.
perspective. I was recently in a meeting. I know we're running out of time here. I got one more story um, where it was a logo redesign, Erica, and it's for a retail brand, and it was all older white dudes in the room suggesting this sexy female cartoon to represent their brand. And I could have just set quiet, right? And I'm like, no, I need to say something, right?
Yes.
And I
Yeah.
said, I need to pause this meeting and I need to share as the only woman in this room right now that
Mhm.
this is offensive. Okay. Who are we trying to reach? Our customer base is women over 35, and not a single person in this room fits that demographic. So I'm not sure that we should be making a decision to incorporate a sexy woman into the logo for, you know, a bunch
Yeah.
of white dudes.
For
making
sure.
that decision that are 60
Yeah.
years old. You know what I'm saying? Like that's not, we're not trying to reach you. You're not the demographic.
You're
So
not the target audience, no offense.
this is why you do research, by the way, ladies and
Yeah.
gentlemen. Anyway, we side
Always going
rail.
back to research.
I know, right? It always comes back to the data.
Yeah.
So I don't, did I answer that question?
Yeah, yeah, I love it because it's just like, don't be afraid to take up space. Don't dim your light. Like, be you. And I think that ties into what we're talking about. Like, polishing your brand, your personal brand up doesn't mean changing yourself entirely.
So let's summarize, right? I want to make sure we provide
Yes.
value to people who tuned in today. If you're going through a personal rebrand or you're looking to build a personal brand as a woman in a male-dominated industry, drink beer, play golf, right?
Go to hockey games.
Yep. Update your profile picture. Make sure I can see your eyes. Invest in a good headshot. You can do it for a couple $100. And if you're trying to get to that C-suite level, a stylist was a game changer for me. The last item I'll throw into the pail, if I will, is hire a copywriter. Hire a copywriter has been a game changer for me in publishing more content for my personal brand. So you might be thinking like, I'm supposed to write blogs. I'm supposed to, do speaking engagements. I'm supposed to write white papers. Sometimes I have a hard time doing that with my day job, right? And so I love voice memos on my phone. I can record my thoughts on the way to water polo to take my son to practice and be like, hey, Laurel, it's my copywriter. Here's my thoughts on a blog post about growth marketing versus performance marketing. And here's some analogies that I would use. And then I hand it over to her and she can write it. So invest, if you're at that C-suite or trying to get to that next level, you need to be publishing more content like this.
Mm-hmm.
Consider looking into hiring a copywriter to do it at scale. So there you have it. I hope you guys enjoyed this week's Get Nerdy with Bergie. I'll see you next time. If you have ideas of other topics you'd like us to talk about or you'd like me to talk about, please DM me. And I look forward to seeing you guys all next week, Tuesday, 10 a.m. right here on LinkedIn.